But when it comes to Marvel, you need to watch all the series and 1,000 different, programs that they have. And I wasn't going to do that. This guy in a red suit, this man with the claws, you know who these characters are. So I think this is going to be a fun one. Disney is the king, at this point of owning everything. We need this to be an R like the original, with the vulgarity, with the blood in an R setting. I think you're really going to upset some fans. That to make a lot of money on a movie in 2024 is pretty hard to do.
Joining me to talk the good, the bad, and the meh of July movie releases is a first-time guest to the Dragon Movie Guide podcast. Flix Talk has over 43,000 subscribers, and his first-time watching and trailer reaction videos have been known to get over 100,000 views. It is my absolute pleasure to welcome to the Dragon Movie Guide podcast, Flix Talk.
What an introduction. Wow.
You don't want this. Come again.
The only MCU movie coming out in the entire year of 2024. Deadpool and Wolverine. Ryan Reynolds, back. Hugh Jackman, back. What are your thoughts on Deadpool and Wolverine?
I'm just really glad that they were able to push for an R rating, especially since Disney is the king, at this point of owning everything now. Because that was the one thing that everybody was really, same with Blade. Whenever that comes out, everybody was like, we need this to be an R like the original, because dealing with certain characters, their subject nature or a track record of the first two movies that came out, if you don't keep that going, with the vulgarity, with the blood, with the whatever crazy situations that they get into in an R setting, I think you're really going to upset some fans that really do love this character. And that has a lot to do with Ryan Reynolds, is that I swear to this day, since we saw Ryan Reynolds as Deadpool, I cannot unsee him in any other role, as anything else. He gives off those mannerisms. And Free Guy, he was like that. Even in Adam Project, he was like that. For me, at least. I haven't seen If, which just came out on digital, but I heard that one's a good one as well. Or Imaginary Friends, I should say. I'm really looking forward. I'm really looking forward to this one a lot. I'm so glad that Hugh Jackman came back and wanted to give it one last go, so to speak. And he looks great in this movie in the yellow suit. He's giving off the same mannerisms. I don't know if you've seen, because you said you didn't go back to the theater. You haven't gone back to the theater really, but they've been putting up PSAs for Wolverine and Deadpool about turning off your phone. Have you seen that at all yet?
No.
Oh, you should look it up. There's actually a trailer for it
I saw the popcorn bucket.
Oh God, I need that. I need that. That's straight out of the mind of Ryan Reynolds. Like only he would do that for a movie like this, and it's so funny that it got greenlit. But there's a PSA that they always talk about. Silence your phones before the movie and yada yada. But they do it with these two characters, and there's something between this banter. Like you're gonna expect a lot of just dialogue heavy in the most satirical, just aggravated characters, because they hate each other. They ultimately hate each other. They're obnoxious, and I can't wait to see that on the big screen played out in this whatever time we get, because I know they're gonna be jumping through time warps and stuff, or time portals and stuff like that. We've seen that in the trailers, and they've alluded into some of these newer trailers that there's like Ant-Man is like I don't know what's going on with the Ant-Man thing, but like his skeleton is right there. And I'm trying to figure out, based on pausing, I'm a pauser when it comes to the trailers, and I'm seeing characters from other X-Men movies coming in, and I'm like, oh man, there's a Lady Deathstrike or whatever her name is with the claws. And I'm like, I'm seeing all these other characters, and I'm like, where are they going to go with it? Is it just going to be a cameo, or are they really going to open up the world of the X-Men that we grew up with, the live action ones? Because those weren't necessarily the greatest, but a lot of us grew up on those and stuff. So I'm very intrigued how they go story wise with this, but I think we're going to get a lot of time jumping, which is going to lead to a lot of cool cameos. Once again, the soundtrack is going to be killer, because the first two movies, they were really fun. I think the second one is more fun than the first one, but the first one may be a better character movie for Deadpool, because at least in with the first one, it's more Deadpool, even though there is a few X-Men in there. But the second one is so heavy with X-Force, I believe is what they call the squad. You just have so much going on, and it's just so wild of what's happening in that movie that they're just very fun movies, and I just hope they keep that same theme going with this new one, and I'm excited for it.
Yeah, me as well. You think about exits and retirements and the perfect exit, and it doesn't get any more perfect for exiting a character than Hugh Jackman at the end of Logan.
Yeah.
And I'm not.
Oh yeah.
I'm not like, oh, there's a death scene, and like I think a lot of actors, like Leonardo DiCaprio loves dying in movies, and actors in general, I think like to explore the death scene, of it all. But Hugh Jackman's death in Logan was such an earned death. It made a lot of sense. So the fact that he's coming back, and it's funny because it doesn't feel like it's been 6-7 years, but Logan came out 2016, 2017-ish. That's 6-7 years ago now. So it's been a while. He looks the same. And you're telling me we can get a guy who almost got nominated for an Oscar for playing this character, joining the most successful superhero franchise of all time, alongside the guy who set the record for, or almost set the record for rated R movie box office, Ryan Reynolds and Deadpool.
Yeah.
What's not to like about this? So the MCU has fallen off from its peak MCU-ness, and I think that was going to be impossible to not do at some point. I hope that Bob Iger coming back and kind of retaking the reins, and Kevin Feige going, okay, let's slow things down because we can and because we need to. So the fact that this is the only MCU movie we're getting this year, and part of that too is there were 2 or 3. Originally, there was, I think, 4 different MCU movies scheduled to come out this year, and then the writer's strike happens, and then Phase 4 happens, and we're left with this film, which was originally supposed to come out in, I think, September or November, getting moved up and then getting moved back. So even this release date, I think originally was the Captain America 4 release date. I could be wrong there.
Wow. Yeah,
but
that
even the release date for Deadpool and Wolverine has moved around quite a bit. So, if there's any trust for sure that is left in the superhero genre for me, it's Ryan Reynolds with Deadpool. So my guess, and this is, it's not so much a good, bad, or meh. The only way this movie fails is if it comes out as it was all right. Like, if this film comes out and offends everybody or entertains everybody, it will be a success. If it comes out and it's just sort of, if it gets the reception of Fall Guy or Fly Me to the Moon, like if audiences leaving Fly Me to the Moon have a similar audience score as Deadpool and Wolverine, then this movie will be a colossal failure. Anything short of that, though, and I think Ryan Reynolds has a good enough track record that he's earned the benefit of any doubt, and I'm not doubting, but I am not as excited as I thought I would be seeing the trailers for this. And maybe it's just because I had so much anticipation that there's no way the trailers could live up to that anticipation. And looking at all of the leaked set photos and have, we saw the Wolverine yellow costume 6, 8, 9 months ago that they're filming. So none of this is really new because I'm one that I like. I don't mind spoilers at all, but there is a certain amount of, I've been so eager for any kind of news coming out of this movie. That there is a certain amount of, I've spoiled myself, by opening up Christmas presents before Christmas morning. So that's the only thing that kind of has me a little bit, not meh or bad, but just kind of reserving judgment a little bit. But I am super, super excited for this. I love, the fact that they were able to get Hugh Jackman to come back, because I don't think he needs the money. Yes, he just got divorced, so who doesn't need money when you're getting divorced? But Hugh Jackman doesn't strike me as a guy that he would do this film for the money. It just doesn't strike me that he's such an artist, like he's a guy that, yeah, he's Wolverine, but he's also a guy who does musical theater and who goes on Broadway and who sings and dances and is an actor. So to me, this is not a thing where I think Hugh Jackman would risk that legacy just for a payday, because I don't think he just needs the payday for the sake of getting a payday. So is there anything that's kind of making you go, I hope, but fingers crossed?
Well, now you have me thinking a little bit. I mean, I don't think this is going to be a Madame Web situation at all, but I mean, I think Marvel nerds and Star Wars nerds are probably the strongest out there as far as trying to protect the integrity of their characters or IP or whatever to the fullest. And I think when it comes to the characters of surrounding Deadpool, just the Deadpool sphere, I think they've been doing a good job of keeping the continuity of pretty much intact when it comes to the lore, or like even the cartoons that I grew up on and stuff like that. And I think he knows that that's important to the fans. And I don't think he would let someone, even like a Disney, try to butcher that or downplay something. Like, worrying about if something's going to get too political or too sensitive here or there to offend somebody. And like you said earlier, I think they just go in offending everybody. So we're not going to really have too much to worry about. It is going to be it's going to have to hit on the same, once again, effect of the first two movies. We're looking for an action movie of the summer, whether it's superhero or not. We're looking for this with a balance out of comedy, because that's what it is essentially, right? The banter of these two characters that don't get along, but they have to work together for whatever mission is happening. I'm sure a lot of twists and turns. You're going to get the famous, 20 end credit scenes that, we always get from these Marvel movies. But I like what you said earlier too, is that there's not really superhero fatigue. It's just that some of these movies aren't top tier movies like we got a while back, and I totally agree with that, because I think the last superhero movie that I saw was Blue Beetle in theaters, and I just saw it because I didn't even know who that character was. I'm not even up to date with anything DC really, and I had an enjoyable time with that, because I didn't know anything about the comic or where it came from, but I just liked the way everything looked. I thought it was funny in the parts that were supposed to be funny. I thought the action was there when it needed to be. The suit looked, the CGI was very good. I thought the acting from the main actor Zolo was really good, because I like him in Cobra Kai. Yeah. So I was fine with that. But when it comes to Marvel, you need to watch all the series and 1,000 different programs that they have to tie into these movies, and I wasn't going to do that.
There's
I think some people,
for sure.
Yeah, there is a lot of homework, and same thing with the Star Wars movies and shows and stuff like that, and it can be exhausting. And I mean, how much we have to keep up with a lot of this stuff. So, but I think this is one of those where, even if it is a time span of 7 years from the last movie or whatever, this is like a property that somehow you just keep remembering, whether they drop every 7 years, whether they drop every week. Like, this guy in a red suit, this man with the claws, you know who these characters are. They're just very iconic, like a Superman. You don't have to drop a Superman every 5 years, because that character. You just know it. It's ingrained in your DNA, whether you know the movie or not. So I think this is going to be a fun one. I don't know if it's going to do like Joker numbers as far as like over 1 billion. I think it's going to do very well. But there is a piece of me that thinks that this could be like a Furiosa situation, where we're building it up so much, and then we get like 35 mil at the box office domestically, and it's just kind of, it's like, whoa, what happened? This movie needs to hit at least 100 mil first weekend, like a Bad Boys, and kind of go from there. I believe in it, so I think it will pay off.
Now, are you much of a comic book fan? Like, I'm not a comic book reader. I love superheroes. I love superhero cartoons, movies, TV shows, every iteration except comic books. So I don't mind comic books. It's just not really my thing. Are you much of a comic book reader?
No, you know what? I grew up reading some of the comics, but I was more of a card collector. The comic card collecting
Oh,
of
okay.
like, yeah. So I don't. This is in the mid '90s. So whenever X-Men was doing their, I don't even know who put them out, but I was collecting cards like crazy, and just on the back it just told like their story, or like there was always these verses, situations that were happening, and I do remember a lot of the X-Men. Me favoring more of the X-Men than any other cartoon. Like I grew up watching like Spider-Man. I didn't grow up watching Superman, or I'm sorry, Batman, which I know a lot of people my age did as well. And they said that was there was some kind of Batman cartoon in the 90s that was really well received. I know a lot of people were talking about that one,
Yeah.
but I didn't watch that. I was more of just a Marvel into Marvel card collecting and video games. I played a lot, all the video games too that came out, either arcade games or console, Nintendo, Super Nintendo, that were coming out around that time. So that's kind of what I was gravitating more towards.
Now, I asked that because are you familiar with either Emma Corrin? She the villain in this film is played by an actress named Emma Corrin, who I've never heard of before, and she's playing a character called Cassandra Nova. Now, I've never heard of Cassandra Nova, but when I looked her up, she's basically a evil twin of Professor X. Deadpool has taken, I'd never heard of Negasonic Teenage Warrior either. Before
I think that might have been
I
think that might have been a newer. I think that might have been a like in the like after 2000s. I could be wrong about that.
Yeah, and Deadpool is famous for taking unknown characters or little known characters and making them big in the movie, and then they become successful comics afterwards. So that wouldn't surprise me.
First appeared in New X-Men number 114 in July 2001.
Oh wow!
So that's when I would have stopped all of that. So I didn't know too much about it, but it is always interesting how they introduce characters into the MCU or just in anything superhero that are after the 21st century, because I feel like more fanfare would be towards the 90s, 80s, 70s,
Yep.
But for some reason they don't focus too. I mean, unless it's like a Lex Luthor or something like that, but I see a lot more 21st century villains than I do the opposite.
These films aren't famous for the villains. I mean, you got I don't remember the character's name, but the dude with the arm from the first film that was like the British accent.
Oh yeah, was it Ajax?
Yeah, Ajax. Yeah, that's right. The cleaning company one. Yeah,
I never liked that villain. I never liked it. Like him.
So you got Ajax from the first film, and you got, like who really was the villain in Deadpool 2?
Was it? I think Juggernaut was in the second one. No.
Yeah, it was Juggernaut, but it was also Fire Fist from the future, and in the first act, it's actually Cable. So it's kind of it's.
Oh yeah, Cable.
Yeah. So it's a really interesting thing that we have these movies that everyone seems to love, but there's not really a villain that's iconic that stands off versus Deadpool in any way, shape, or form. It's just sort of Deadpool versus everybody, and however the personality or the jokes can fall in around Deadpool seems to be the opponent that Deadpool is best versus. So,
well, I think that's what we possibly might get, just to keep it entertaining, is that, especially with the cameos and all this time travel jump that we get, I think they're going to be jumping through time, and no one's going to know who Deadpool is. So they're just going to look at him as a rival, and they're just everybody's going to be fighting. That's why we get these, shots of some X-Men characters either coming through, or Deadpool came in through their time.
Yep.
I'm thinking that people are coming through, like a kind of a Avengers Endgame situation. Where all the characters are coming through for this final fight, because the Ant-Man thing still has me for a loop. Why is there an Ant-Man corpse there? Did you see that in the trailer?
Yeah, and then also that they have Deadpool and Wolverine jumping through a Doctor Strange portal.
Yeah, the portal thing, and that's what I'm saying. Like, either people come through, or they're just jumping through people's timelines and they're fighting them.
Yeah.
Because that's kind of what we saw at the end of Deadpool 2, right? When remember when he was jumping through time and he shot the he shot the original prototype for Deadpool when it was introduced in Origins.
Yeah.
Oh God, that movie. But yeah, that was pretty funny.
Well,
and that's another thing too, is that people love how meta Deadpool is.
Yeah.
You know, just like they like the Scream movies in superhero form, this is what we get, our Scream version of it.
And you know, I love everything about this setup. It makes me wonder, because you know that first trailer, that first teaser trailer we got, where the TVA from Loki was getting involved. So, you know, they're definitely going full MCU with this. And you know, there was even a couple of pictures from the set where they literally had a broken up 20th Century Fox logo in the background, or like the actual yeah. So
yeah, they're like fighting around it.
Yeah. So I wonder. I don't think that anything is going to be bad here. I wonder if it's going to be great, and I hope that it will. I just hope that I just hope that this doesn't disappoint, in that expectations have been set so high that there's no way that it could actually meet expectations. So that'd be like my only not meh or bad, but just sort of the withholding judgment a little bit. So this is definitely one that I'm going to be there opening weekend, opening night. How about you? Are you going to be there in theaters to watch this film?
Oh, I got my tickets already. Yeah, I got my tickets, and I just hope that the rest of the world that wants to see this movie win, I hope they don't think to themselves, well, this will be on streamer in a month. Because people need to stop looking at things like that. Like, if you really do love these characters and these movies, you want to support them, please go out in the theater and watch them. Because as we've seen over like the last 20 years, ticket sales have been declining. The price of tickets are going up. Concession stands are going up. The budgets for movies keep going up. They never stop. I don't know how is this sustainable? It doesn't make any sense. But that's the only way to keep these theaters alive is by actually going and supporting that way, by buying a ticket. And it's going to be, I'm really crossing my fingers, but to make a lot of money on a movie in 2024 is pretty hard to do. So, but I do think that they have enough people involved, and it looks good from what I've seen so far.
So I want to know what you guys think. Does Deadpool and Wolverine look good, bad, or just Let me know in the comments section below this video. Also, be sure to click right over here. There's another video coming up that YouTube thinks, somewhere over here, that YouTube thinks that you'll like on my channel. So please watch.